Hello and welcome to Riverside Reflections. I'm Denise Mananis, your host for this program, and today our third episode. I am so pleased to welcome Herta Muller, our Chief Nursing Officer of St. John's Riverside Hospital. Welcome, Herta.
Thank you, Denise, for having me today. It's a pleasure.
We're thrilled, and you know, it's interesting. I've been here a long time. I know you've been around a little bit. Nursing at St. John's has always had a really strong reputation. But before we talk about why that is and your role in that, I'd like to know a little bit more about you, where you're from, and how you came to be here.
Thank you. So I was actually born in Europe. I came to the United States at the age of 16.
Wow.
So it's been an interesting journey, to say the least. I have been a nurse since 1997, so that's 27 years.
Wow.
I had the pleasure and privilege to attend Cochrane School of Nursing.
You're one of ours.
I'm one of yours.
I love
and
it.
Yes, so Cochrane has been around for 130 years. And I, to this day, feel like it gave me that edge why I'm considering myself to be a good nurse. At the bedside, I spend a lot of time due to Cochrane during my training. So Cochrane allowed me to spend a lot of time with the patient at the bedside early on, during the early days of my training.
Right.
And we're still doing that to this day, so I'm very proud of that.
That's great. You didn't attend nursing school sort of right out of high school or right out of college. You didn't go to college first. Can you tell me a little bit about that gap, and then what made you choose to go to nursing school?
You're right. I went to nursing school as an adult. I had 3 children at the time I entered nursing school.
Wow.
And I did a night program. I worked in the emergency room during the day and evening, and attended the night program at Cochrane at the time.
Wow.
So that was a very nice experience. Yes, so I entered nursing school as an adult.
So what made you choose nursing as an adult? What was the moment, the impetus for it?
So my why, I always call it my why. There's actually 2 whys. One of them is my personal story. I lost my biological father at the age of 2 due to cancer. My stepfather at the age of 12 due to cancer as well. I did watch him, and I held his hand while he passed away, my stepfather. So that was sort of a picture that will never leave me. And that was not the moment that I actually decided to become a nurse. I think it gradually built, but it's something that remained with me, that picture that I carry with me to this day. And nursing was just a calling for me. And
so that's very interesting, because nursing as a profession has changed. The actual work has changed. And it's funny, everyone grows up thinking, well, I could be a nurse, and 30 years ago or 50 years ago, it meant certain things that you did. What is nursing practice today?
so if you look up nurse in the dictionary, it actually says it's a caretaker that takes care of sick people, which remains true to this day, but it has evolved. The nurse is the patient, and the patient, they have a connection. It's a bond. The nurse is the educator. The nurse is the advocate for the patient. So healthcare has evolved over the years, and so has the profession of nursing.
Right.
And a Gallup poll in 2023 actually rated the nursing profession as one of the most noble professions for 21 years in a row.
Wow.
So it's
So
that's
it is a
statement.
vocation.
It
is a
absolutely is.
vocation, and people who go into it. I mean, I've been a patient here in a couple of our facilities for a variety of reasons, and the nurses do different jobs. I mean, if you're an ER nurse or if you're a surgical nurse, they're different. Can you speak to the education of the nurses, because the technological and medical knowledge that's required is so different from what was taught about so nurses started out as caretakers, and that is still a huge component. But what are the things that nurses are actually doing?
So aside from doing the vital signs, those are one of the basic things that when you think about what does a nurse do, so it's at the bedside with the patient taking the vital signs. But there's that critical thinking component that is now added to the nursing profession and has been gradually added over the years. critical thinking skills is necessary in the complex healthcare system that we currently live in. It gives the nurse the ability to really look at the patient as a whole and make decisions that are in the best interest of the patient. So a lot of our nurses are entering their BSN programs, are entering master's prepared programs. So nursing is very vast as a profession itself. You can stay a bedside nurse, you can go into administration.
Yeah.
So it has so many different, you can go into different fields in
Teaching?
nursing, teaching.
Yeah.
So it's very broad. So it's
a great
anything-
career.
Anything you would like it to be, yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. And obviously you're an example of that because you started as a bedside nurse, and I sort of remember you walking by my office going into Cochrane School of Nursing all those years ago. So here you are, you come back, you graduate, you work, right? So tell me what was the difference, what changed for you in terms of moving up and becoming something more than a bedside nurse? How did that path go?
What's interesting, I never pictured myself other than being a bedside nurse when I got into nursing. And gradually, you're good and you like what you do and you feel great about that. And luckily, during my career, I had great mentors that actually pointed those qualities out in me, like the leader in me that I could be. And they helped me along that journey. And for me, it's still very important that I mentor people to go into different fields in nursing, if you will, to climb up that ladder,
Right.
you know, and lead the next generation of nurses. So that's really important.
You know, that's very interesting because I just learned something about the Cochrane School yesterday, and they're doing preceptorships. So the Cochrane School does a very strong clinical training component to the education here. Can you talk about that mentoring and how we're bringing people, because I think people don't realize that St. John's has been blessed with Cochrane for 130 years, and we're 155 years old, or 156, 155 years this year. So we've been training our nurses all along, but there is those special things that set the training apart. And I know that the mentorship and the partnership that we have between the school and the hospital is really strong. Can you speak to some of those things?
So yes, we actually go out to high schools, you know, throughout the 2-year program that Cochrane offers our students. And we reach out to those high schools to say, okay, what career are you interested in? And this is part of what you should be looking at or can look at as an option. And we expose them early on to the program that we offer and pull them in and offer the tours for them so that they see the school, get familiar with the school. And then the other side of that is our program that we offer within our hospital. So we have our students attend, you know, the bedside very, very early. They get to know their patient pretty much the 2nd or 3rd week when they start school. So we expose them very early to the patient, which then creates a whole other aspect into their nursing training.
Right.
It gets you comfortable talking to the patient, which is huge. You know, a lot of our nurses are sometimes uncomfortable talking to patients. It's a new environment for them. So just the mere fact of having a conversation with the patient is a good starting point.
Right.
And then we mentor them. They're assigned a mentor, you know, and the mentor doesn't necessarily have to be a nurse. It could be someone else that they can share, you know, stories with, or just get some support while they go through the program.
So, you know, we interviewed our CEO, Mr. Ron Cordy, and he talked a little bit about, you know, hospitals' necessity in communities. And he said, you know, there's a place for all hospitals, but for a community hospital, a lot of our employees are from the community. And I did want to talk about something that's very dear to my heart, which is the courage that's also involved in this profession, because as you lived through it and I lived through it and our community lived through it, when COVID came to our community, I was sort of stunned at the courage of the team here, the nurses here, who took care of these patients who were really, really sick in that first wave of COVID. And I sort of wanted to talk about that aspect of nursing and that kind of care, because it starts in that vocation, it starts in that compassion. Can you talk about the personalities and the team that you have here?
I think COVID did so many things, you know, throughout the world. It sent shockwaves throughout the world. But I think for us, you know, having been here during that time, we remained that beacon of light for our community, that beacon of hope. But in turn, I think the community did that for us. Every day we received calls, you know, with community members asking us, what can we do for you? What do you need? What is your greatest need right now? So I think we witnessed, you know, on both sides, you know, the need that we have as a hospital to be here to serve the community, and vice versa. You know, there's a mutual respect, and we know that we're much needed. So during that time, you know, we all stepped it up. So it wasn't just nursing. It was all the departments within nursing. It was everyone. It was in our doctors. It was just something that we'll never forget, having lived it through healthcare, and I hope we don't forget, and I think we have learned from it. So yeah, that was definitely a very traumatic time.
It was traumatic, but it was also very heartening to see that people came to work. They ran toward it and not away from it. So it always astonishes me. But I want to turn our conversation a little bit back toward you. So Chief Nursing Officer, was that something that you thought you would become? Was that a goal, or did that sort of evolve?
It was not a goal, and as I mentioned, I thought I was going to be a bedside nurse forever. I enjoyed speaking to the patient. I enjoyed advocating for the patient. It was in me. That's something that I always enjoyed, and I was lucky enough to have mentors during my career that just pointed at and gave me that necessary push.
Yeah.
To say, hey, you can do this. You can do this better. And I absolutely enjoy my job immensely. I love coming to work every single day. I love coming to work here where I've started my career, and I would like to stay here and have, you know, certain things become a legacy during my career.
So let's talk about that. So what are the things that you're working on now that really people don't think of in the community, and it really doesn't occur to them much about healthcare or about, you know, what people do as their professions until they need us? Mm-hmm. So what are the things that you're bringing to the table here that would be part of your legacy?
For me, it's very important that our nurses go back and get their degrees. So whether that's a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, we currently are working on many, many initiatives that will elevate the nursing practice as well as our hospital, so to elevate that excellence. We have been known in this hospital to provide excellent nursing care.
That's true.
And we want to not only continue that, but we want to make it better. So there are lots of initiatives, and I do read letters from our patients every single day that feel that difference.
Yeah.
So every time I read that letter,
there is a transformation going on.
There's a transformation,
too, which I think was timely given COVID and how difficult it was for everyone in healthcare. So this is kind of, it feels like I don't want to say rebirth, but a re-energization of our staff.
Yes.
And honestly, I know I'm working on aspects of that, but I know that you are the lady who brought it here. And Mr. Cordy referenced it too. He's very excited that things are feeling new and fresh and with a lot of energy. So you should be proud of your team. Are there any things, any stories that you have about a staff person that you are particularly proud of? Do you have someone who has gone back and gotten an advanced degree? Or I know there are certifications for specialties, or, you know, is there something that you can share along those lines?
We have many, many nurses that have their certifications in their specialty. We have many OR nurses that have their OR certifications, their certifications in ER, medical surgical nursing, and we do honor those nurses every single day,
Yeah.
every single year, for going back and getting their certifications. The stories, there's so many of them. I can pick one, and that is near and dear to my heart. I'm extremely proud of two of my own members of my team. One is AVP of Nursing of Surgical Services, Laura Fanning, and the other is Antonella McTavish, who's the AVP of Nursing. They both have gone back to school to obtain their master's degrees. And they are the mentors for their staff, encouraging them to obtain their certifications.
Keep going.
But just to keep going, it elevates their practice, and it makes us so much better. It makes our patients better, and that's what it's all about.
It makes us stronger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are community strong.
We certainly are.
Well, Herta, it was so wonderful to catch up with you. I thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you for joining us again today. We really appreciate your support. Have a great day.